So, further developments in the proposed comeback of Tyson Fury. Now, I did a video on Tyson Fury's intended comeback when he took to Twitter to say that he'd be fighting on the undercard in May, the Frank Warren show in May in Leeds. And, clearly that was either him being wildly optimistic or him being a complete troll because, that was never on the cards. And looking at photos of Tyson Fury, I still believe that even today he's probably in excess of 25 stone. And there's some rumours saying that he actually said he was 27 stone, which wouldn't surprise me looking at his build when you bear in mind that his fighting weight isn't actually off 20 stone. But we know from social media that he's actually now in Marbella with Billy Joe Saunders, and both of them are trying to get in shape for their proposed fights. Now, I did speculate on a podcast the other day. I don't think these two are necessarily great influences to have around each other. They both seem to be incredibly destructive personalities who have a massive habit of blowing up in weight outside the ring. Whether it's due to eating vast amounts of crap, whether it's due to drinking loads of beer, I don't know. But you kind of wonder, Billy Joe Saunders and Tyson Fury on a night out in Marbella, both with, several million quid in their back pockets. You just wonder if that's a complete recipe for disaster. But regardless, the two of them have been going out doing runs. They've been showing footage, and I thought Tyson Fury looked horrendous when he was running. He looked absolutely horrendous, and I kind of was very, very concerned about whether that run would potentially do damage to his career if he was doing that on a regular basis. Because if you're 25, 26, 27 stone, and you're going out long distance running or even medium distance running, the pressure that's going to put on your knee joints. I do a lot of long distance running, and I'm anywhere from 12.5 stone through to 14 stone, and even my knees shot to pieces after a long run on the pavements, etc. So for a guy like Tyson Fury, who's potentially double my weight, you've got to wonder whether that's going to be damaging. But anyway, Fury posted footage on his Instagram, and I believe that video footage has gone up on several boxing YouTube channels. I believe I've seen it on IFL TV. I also believe I've seen it on Mr. Boxing Today 2's YouTube channel, so you can check it out on either of those sources if you haven't seen it. But Fury posted footage of him on the pads, and I thought it was remarkable footage because, to me, and I am a Fury fan, as you guys know, so maybe I'm reminiscing at some of his performances when I see this pad work. But for me, the pad work is absolutely remarkable. I'm not someone who gets excited by pad work. A lot of people have contacted me about the Joshua Klitschko public workouts and saying, what do I think? And I've kind of replied to all those people saying, for me, pad work is never that exciting. It's never the biggest indicator before a fight. But this Tyson Fury pad work is remarkable because you look at him in the ring, you look at how heavy he is, and you'd think that he'd be a disaster. But actually, he looks really, really good on the pads. And it's kind of bizarre viewing to see someone who is as physically out of shape as him, with a gut the size of his, moving like that in the ring and jabbing like that in the ring. He's got extremely fast hands. He's retained his hand speed. He was throwing some footwork in. He was, leaning, bobbing, weaving. He was throwing a bit of head movement, upper body movement, and then throwing a quick jab. Throwing an uppercut with his back to the ropes. It looks really, really, really good. And I always kind of wondered to myself, the inactivity with Fury and the way he's treated his body during that inactivity, would that kind of mean that by the time he got back in the ring, he'd be an old man? I know Fury's only 28, but to look at him, he could easily be 38. And I've always thought to myself, when Fury does return, if he does return, would he have got old overnight? Would he be a very, very old man still in his 20s? Because, the way he treats his body is not the way that Anthony Joshua treats his body, or David Haye treats his body, or Vladimir Klitschko or Deontay Wilder treat their bodies. He's really let himself down in that sense. But this pad work, is really, for me, quite startling that a guy at that sort of weight can throw punches like that and can move around the ring. And it's only a minute long. I'm not suggesting he wouldn't get gassed if he had to do it for 20 minutes. But regardless, it shows that the talent very much is still there. And for me, it's the first time that I'm actually really realistically thinking that maybe the comeback actually is on, because although he still looks in pretty grotesque shape, it isn't quite as grotesque as as it's been maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. And the other thing I think to factor in is, it's so easy to forget about Tyson Fury as a boxing talent, because I forget about this really. He's been so inactive, so inactive, and there's been drama after drama. There's been cocaine stories, there's been performance enhancing drug stories, there's been all the antics, there's been the pullouts against Klitschko. With all of that going on, it's kind of easier to view him as a boxing celebrity as opposed to a boxer. But just seeing him in the pad work, it kind of reminded me why I rated him so highly as a boxing talent. Maybe Fury is just a freak specimen. We've seen how he's shed weight before. We've seen how he's been able to fight for 12 rounds and move around the ring when he's been such a big weight previously. Maybe he's just a freak specimen, I don't know. But you look at this pad work, guys, if you haven't seen it already, and you let me know your thoughts. For me, very, very impressive stuff. Drop your comments in the section below. If you've enjoyed this video, would appreciate it if you take the time to hit the thumbs up button and press subscribe. As always, thanks for tuning in and choosing to watch my channel. Comment, like, subscribe. Cheers, guys.